Imagine waking up to a world where the British monarchy's fragile facade shatters overnight. In a move that sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace, Prince Edward, the often overlooked royal, allegedly froze Queen Camilla's access to the family's vast bank accounts tied to royal residences. Was this a calculated strike against the woman who rose from scandal to throne? Or the desperate act of a brother protecting his legacy? Dive into this explosive drama that exposes the hidden fractures in the House of Windsor, where loyalty crumbles and secrets ignite like wildfire. Before we go deeper into what this really means for the royal family, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single update. The clock struck midnight when it all began, a covert directive slicing through the silence like a dagger in the dark. Prince Edward, seated in the dim glow of his private study, issued the command through secure royal financial channels, instantly severing Camilla's grip on the funds that fueled the opulent upkeep of residences like Clarence House and Balmoral. Urgent phone calls buzzed in the background, locked doors barricading the truth from spilling out too soon. This wasn't just a financial tweak, it was a bold declaration of war, heightening the air with suspense that clung like fog over the Thames. Deep within Edward, a storm raged, torn between his role as the dutiful son and the weight of his late mother's unspoken wishes. He saw Camilla's growing influence not as mere partnership, but as a personal invasion, eroding the legacy Queen Elizabeth had so carefully built. Familial duty pulled him one way, resentment the other, creating an emotional battlefield where every decision felt like a betrayal of blood. How could he stand by while the woman who once lurked in shadows now held the keys to their shared empire? Camilla's discovery hit like thunder. Attempting a routine transaction for palace maintenance, she faced the cold denial on her screen, access revoked, funds frozen, shock twisted into fury, her face paling as the reality sank in, echoing the scandals of Diana's time, when love and power collided in devastating ways. In the monarchy, money wasn't just currency, it was the ultimate symbol of control. And this freeze stripped her bare, setting the stage for confrontations that could echo through generations. Yet whispers of deeper secrets loomed. Edward hadn't acted on impulse. Undisclosed emails and shadowy meetings had armed him with evidence of Camilla's alleged overreach, lavish expenditures on personal estates that drained the royal coffers, planting doubts about her true ambitions. These revelations simmered just beneath the surface, promising to erupt and drag more skeletons from the closet. Suspense escalated as palace staff descended into hushed panic. Aides darted through corridors, caught in the crossfire, their loyalties stretched thin between Edward's unyielding authority and Camilla's formidable presence. Whispers filled the halls who to trust. The emotional chaos gripped everyone, alliances fracturing in the dead of night. Drawing from history's dramatic playbook, this mirrored Henry VIII's ruthless asset seizures, but twisted into a modern tale of betrayal, where Edward's move threatened to unravel the entire financial web holding the monarchy together. Emotional clashes loomed on the horizon, hearts poised to break. And then, the twist: a mysterious ally emerged from the fringes, perhaps a disgruntled accountant or a family insider, tipping Edward off with damning details. This shattered trust forged unlikely bonds in the shadows, adding layers of intrigue that deepened the emotional stakes. In that climactic moment, Camilla's vulnerability shone through a queen, humbled, pleading with bankers over the phone, stirring a mix of sympathy and suspicion. Edward, meanwhile, held his stoic front, but inside, turmoil churned, building a tension that begged for release. But to understand why Edward would dare such a bold move against his brother's wife, we must rewind to the roots of Camilla's controversial ascent, where ambition and scandal first intertwined with the crown's glittering allure. What if the woman who captured a king's heart was always destined to fracture his family? Camilla Parker Bowles, once the whispered mistress in the shadows of Charles' marriage to Diana, clawed her way to queenship through decades of scandal and strategy. But beneath the polished crown lies a trail of emotional wreckage, broken trusts, hidden affairs, and financial maneuvers that now face Edward's wrath. Uncover how her rise sowed the seeds of this overnight freeze, a tale of love turned lethal ambition that could topple the monarchy. Camilla's story didn't start in the glare of palace lights. It simmered in the quiet luxury of aristocratic circles, where hidden financial ties whispered of discreet bank accounts, propping up her world. These weren't mere savings, they were lifelines, funding a lifestyle that kept her close to Charles, even as rumors swirled. She fought tooth and nail for her place, her every move laced with the desperation of an outsider craving belonging, building a suspense that hinted at deeper motives lurking just out of sight. Then came the infamous love triangle, a brutal battlefield of hearts, where Camilla's subtle manipulations, stolen gifts, secret letters, clandestine meetings ignited raw jealousy and shattering heartbreak. Diana's pain echoed through it all, a ghost that fueled the family's fractures, and in the quiet corners, Edward watched his resentment brewing like a storm on the horizon, foreshadowing the bold strike he would one day unleash. After Diana's tragic end, Camilla's ascent accelerated, her marriage to Charles a triumph born of relentless behind-the-scenes lobbying. She pushed for Queen's status with unyielding force, securing financial perks that granted her sway over royal residences, budgets, funds, flowing like rivers into her grasp. The family accepted it uneasily, their smiles masking the growing tension as her control expanded, setting pulses racing with the suspense of what might snap under the pressure. From the sidelines, Edward observed her integration with a heavy heart, feeling his mother's legacy crumble bit by bit. Quiet confrontations at family gatherings, simmered words unspoken, glances loaded, pitting sibling loyalty against the pull of spousal devotion, deepening the emotional chasm that would one day demand reckoning. Camilla didn't stop at marriage. She built a financial empire through those residence funds, pouring money into renovations that stamped her tastes over timeless traditions, grand ballrooms redone in her vision, gardens reshaped to her whim. This sparked conflicts with other royals, whispers of favoritism turning to outright clashes, all building inexorably toward the freeze, as Edward's inevitable act of retribution loomed larger. Alliances twisted in unexpected ways, as Camilla forged bonds with key advisors who smoothed her path to financial access, their counsel like threads in a web. But betrayal flickered within a leaked memo, slipping into Edward's hands, its contents explosive, immersing everyone in the gripping suspense of palace intrigue, where trust could shatter in an instant. Beneath her bold strategies, Camilla's vulnerability surfaced under public scrutiny, her stoic facade cracking in private moments of doubt, contrasting sharply with her resilient climb. It evoked a whirlwind of emotions, admiration for her unbreaking spirit, yet suspicion of the ambitions that drove her, painting a portrait rich with human frailty and fierce determination. The build-up peaked in a heated argument with Edward years earlier, their voices clashing over protecting the family's assets, words that hung like a prophecy, directly tethering that raw exchange to the overnight freeze that would soon redefine everything. Yet, while Camilla basked in her hard-won throne, the storm brewed in the heart of the monarchy's quiet guardian, Prince Edward, whose buried grievances were about to erupt in a calculated strike. Hidden in the monarchy's margins, Prince Edward has long been the steadfast shadow, loyal, unassuming, yet harboring a volcano of unspoken rage. What drove this mild-mannered royal to freeze Camilla's financial lifeline overnight? Was it years of watching his family's honor tarnished, or a personal vendetta cloaked in duty? Peel back the layers of Edward's psyche in this gripping exposé, where quiet resentment explodes into a move that could redefine royal allegiance and shatter the crown's unity. Edward's life unfolded as the forgotten sibling, forever eclipsed by the spotlight on Charles and Andrew. His days filled with uncelebrated dedication to royal duties that demanded personal sacrifices few noticed. He poured his energy into quiet causes, standing firm amid the chaos of scandals that rocked his brothers. Yet this very steadfastness sharpened his protective instincts, hinting at a deeper resolve that would one day demand action against threats to the family's core. Resentments accumulated like gathering clouds, as Edward bore witness to Camilla's sway slowly eroding Queen Elizabeth's final wishes on how the family's finances should flow. Whispers of overheard conversations in hushed palace rooms, fueling his inner fury, each word a spark that built suspense toward an inevitable eruption. Tense moments at Balmoral or Windsor amplified the strain. Edward's subtle objections to Camilla's extravagant spending brushed aside like dust, leaving him isolated in a sea of royal indifference, betrayal, gnawing at his soul as the family fold tightened around newcomers, while pushing him further out. He didn't remain passive. Secret investigations began, Edward enlisting trusted aides to dig into Camilla's financial dealings, uncovering irregularities that piled up like evidence in a thriller. Each discovery heightening the intrigue and suspense as the web of discrepancies grew tighter around her. A pivotal emotional crisis struck, perhaps in a haunting dream or vivid memory of his mother, her voice echoing warnings about outsiders seizing control of the purse strings, plunging him into a psychological spiral that built relentlessly toward the decisive act, his mind a whirlwind of doubt and determination. Confrontations with Charles simmered into heated whispers, Edward voicing concerns over Camilla's unchecked access, testing the fragile threads of brotherly bonds against the unyielding pull of loyalty to a spouse, each exchange laced with the pain of divided hearts. Then came the twist, a hidden secret surfaced, Edward's own financial vulnerabilities entangled with those residences, transforming the freeze from mere retaliation into a desperate defensive maneuver, emotions clashing with strategy in a suspenseful blend that redefined his motives. The climactic inner revelation arrived in solitude, his heart pounding as he weighed the consequences. The decision to authorize the freeze, surging through him like adrenaline, crafting a cliffhanger where chaos hovered on the brink, ready to unleash. With Edward's fury finally ignited, the stage was set for a clandestine gathering that would seal Camilla's financial fate enter the secret meeting where alliances shifted and the monarchy's underbelly was laid bare. In the dead of night, away from prying eyes, a select few royals and advisors convened in a dimly lit chamber, plotting the unthinkable. This wasn't just a meeting, it was the birthplace of Edward's daring decree to freeze Camilla's bank access. What explosive secrets were exchanged? Who betrayed whom in this web of whispers? Unravel the drama of this hidden council where emotions ran high, loyalties fractured, and a single decision threatened to unravel the fabric of the British throne. The remote wing of Sandringham swallowed every sound, its heavy doors sealed against the world outside. Flickering candles cast long, restless shadows across the faces of those gathered, each one etched with anxiety that no title could hide. The air felt thick with the weight of what they were about to do, cross an invisible line that had held the family together through decades of public storms. Edward sat at the head, his usual quiet demeanor replaced by a steely determination that made the room smaller. He had called them here. Sophie, whose loyalty had always run deeper than most suspected, and a handful of disaffected staff whose resentment toward Camilla's rapid rise had finally boiled over. They shared the same burning question: how far had the monarchy strayed? Yet crossing Charles, even in secret, filled them with dread. Every glance carried conflict, devotion to the crown warring with the fear of what breaking it might unleash. The revelations came fast and brutal. Documents slid across the table proof. They claimed that residents' budgets meant for upkeep and tradition had been quietly redirected toward personal luxuries, private retreats, extravagant redecorations, sums that defied explanation. Gasps turned to murmurs of outrage. Each disclosure landed a blow, stirring memories of Queen Elizabeth's careful stewardship and fueling the collective fury that had simmered too long. These weren't petty oversights. They were symptoms of a deeper shift, one that threatened to hollow out the monarchy from within. Voices rose in heated debate. Edward's passion cut through the room sharp, unyielding, demanding they act before the damage became irreversible. Others hesitated, their fears spilling out in choked whispers. What if Charles never forgave them? What if the public turned this private reckoning into a spectacle that weakened the throne forever? The moral dilemma hung heavy, loyalty to family clashing against duty to the institution itself, each argument pulling the group deeper into emotional quicksand. Then came the twist that changed everything. A surprise informant stepped forward, someone once close to Camilla, now carrying the weight of betrayal in their eyes. Their testimony was damning. Overheard conversations, redirected funds, promises made in private that contradicted public duty. Trust shattered in that moment. The room fell silent, the raw sting of violated confidence hanging between them like smoke, heightening the suspense until no one could look away. Strategy followed swiftly. Edward outlined the mechanics with chilling precision, targeting the specific bank protocols that governed residents, linked accounts, locking Camilla out with a single, irreversible command executed through secure channels. They mapped the timeline, anticipated the backlash, weighed the fallout. Every step forward built unbearable tension, the knowledge that once the order was given, there would be no turning back. Edward's own resolve wavered in fleeting flashes, haunted visions of Charles's hurt, of fractured holidays, of a family splintered beyond repair. Yet the group's collective tension anchored him, their shared anger a arc current that pulled him onward, blending personal anguish with the larger stakes at play. In the end, the vote came without fanfare. Heads nodded in grim unison. A final whispered oath sealed their pact, binding them to the path they had chosen. The decision was made, the overnight action now inevitable, hanging over them like a blade poised to fall. As the council disbanded into the shadows, the wheels of fate turned, leading to the fateful night when Edward's command transformed Whispers into a financial lockdown that left Camilla reeling. Tick-tock, the clock strikes midnight, and the monarchy's financial fortress falls. Prince Edward, with a single encrypted command, severs Queen Camilla's access to millions in residence-linked accounts. Picture the Queen's phone lighting up with denial alerts, her world collapsing in real time. This isn't just a freeze, it's a surgical strike exposing vulnerabilities in the royal core. Witness the heart-stopping execution that turned family ties into battle lines, promising twists that could dethrone the undethronable. The trigger pulled in utter solitude. Edward's finger hovered, then pressed send on the secure line, his mind a torrent of racing thoughts, flashes of past slights. Camilla's words that stung like barbs, his mother's fading voice urging protection. The command raced through digital veins, locking down the accounts with ruthless efficiency. No turning back now. His breath caught, a mix of triumph and dread, surging through him, the weight of what he'd unleashed, pressing down like an invisible crown. Camilla stirred from sleep, a late-night call shattering the quiet perhaps from a frantic advisor, the line crackling with urgency. Denial alerts flooded her screen, each one a hammer blow, access revoked, transactions halted. Raw shock gripped her, twisting into a fury that burned hot and deep, stripping away the symbolic power she'd fought so hard to claim. Queen in name, but now powerless over the very stones that housed her reign. How could this happen under her watchful eye? Frantic attempts followed in the dead hours. She dialed bankers, demanded reversals, her voice sharp as a blade, but met only with apologies and feigned confusion from aides who shuffled papers and avoided her gaze. Isolation wrapped around her like a shroud, the palace's silence amplifying her desperation, every unanswered plea echoing the betrayal that had blindsided her world. Repercussions loomed large, whispers of leaks to the press already teasing the edges of Edward's mind as he paced, anticipating the storm that would break at dawn. Inner conflict tore at him, the pain he'd inflict on Charles. His brother, a wound that might never heal yet resolve, held firm, the greater good of fragile shield against the guilt. In the chaos of the freeze, secrets spilled like overturned ink. Interconnected accounts laid bare, Camilla's hidden expenditures, extravagant sums, funneled to private whims, evidence of excess that escalated the drama, speculative trails leading to lavish indulgences that mocked the family's traditions. Each revelation hit harder, exposing cracks in her carefully built facade. Emotional ripples spread through the staff like wildfire. Loyalists found themselves torn, hearts divided between Camilla's commanding presence and Edward's quiet call to duty, some secretly relieved, breaths held in hope that balance might return, others anguished by the human cost of this ruthless power play, loyalties fraying in the night's grip. A twist emerged in her resistance. Camilla didn't crumble. She rallied, reaching out to steadfast supporters in hushed tones, gathering forces for a counterstrike that promised fierce family confrontations ahead, her determination a spark in the darkness. Climactic Tay. Enzion peaked as Edward monitored the fallout from afar, his heart heavy with the burden of consequence, yet resolute in the knowledge that the freeze had solidified, an unyielding barrier now standing tall. But the freeze was only the spark now. Watch as the royal family ignites in a blaze of accusations and heart-wrenching divisions, that threaten to consume them all. The palace walls echo with screams as the freeze detonates a royal powder keg. King Charles caught between wife and brother, Camilla seething with betrayal, Edward standing firm. This is the monarchy's most intimate apocalypse. What words were hurled in those heated halls? How deep do the wounds run? Immerse yourself in this whirlwind of emotion, where love clashes with legacy, and one family's implosion could spell the end for an ancient institution. The blaze ignited with Charles's furious summons, his voice thundering through the corridors as he demanded Edward face him in the heart of the palace. Accusations flew like arrows. How dare you undermine my queen? Charles roared, his plea laced with raw hurt, begging for reversal while Edward stood unyielding, the air crackling with suspense over what fracture might come next. Each word escalated the tension, emotional undercurrents pulling them deeper into a chasm that had been widening for years. Camilla's breakdown hit hardest in the quiet aftermath, her initial shock giving way to tears that streamed unchecked, vulnerability cracking her regal armor wide open. But sorrow twisted into vengeance. Swiftly she paced, plotting retaliation, her mind a storm of strategies to reclaim what was lost. Inner conflict raged within her, the queen who had triumphed over scandal, now questioning her place in this fractured family, the push-pull of love for Charles clashing against the sting of exclusion, leaving her teetering on an emotional edge. Sibling rifts to dare, deepened with every exchange, Edward mounting his defense like a fortress wall. This is for the monarchy's survival, he insisted, his words evoking the timeless battle of duty over affection. Yet the plea in Charles's eyes hinted at lasting scars, foreshadowing a bond that might never mend. The brothers' shared history now a weapon turned inward, amplifying the heartache that pulsed through their veins. The storm drew in the extended family, William's measured outrage clashing with Harry's distant fury, generational conflicts layering on like fresh wounds, William aligning cautiously with tradition, Harry voicing betrayal from afar, each reaction adding suspense to potential alliances that could tip the scales. Who would side with whom? The uncertainty hung heavy, turning blood ties into battlegrounds. Secrets spilled amid the arguments, revelations bursting forth like hidden grenades, Camilla's past financial favors exposed in heated shouts, sums gifted to allies that now painted her as the architect of her own downfall. Shock rippled through the room, betrayal hitting like a tidal wave, emotional highs soaring as trust evaporated in an instant, each disclosure a dagger that deepened the divide. Inner turmoil gripped them all, Charles's heartache manifesting in private anguish, nights of sleepless torment, torn between the wife he adored and the brother he couldn't abandon, his every breath a blend of suspense and sorrow. The human drama unfolded raw and unrelenting, successes of the crown overshadowed by this intimate suffering, the weight of legacy crushing spirits in its grasp. Twists emerged in fragile unity, unexpected support for Edward trickling in from outsiders, perhaps a distant cousin or loyalist advisor, whispers of solidarity that built toward inevitable public exposure, shifting the dynamics in ways no one anticipated. The climactic family summit convened, Ed under strained silence, tempers flaring like fireworks, voices overlapping in accusation and defense, resolutions dangling just out of reach, the air thick with unspoken fears of what dawn might bring. As the family's private war rages, the outside world erupts. Media hounds descend, turning personal pain into global spectacle and uncovering even darker undercurrents. Headlines scream betrayal as the world awakens to Edward's audacious freeze on Camilla's fortunes. Tabloids feast on royal discord, social media explodes, with theories: is this the monarchy's death knell? From palace leaks to viral memes, dive into the storm, where emotions run riot, secrets spill like blood, and public opinion could crown victors or villains in this unprecedented saga of power and passion. The leak detonated at dawn, an anonymous tip from a palace insider slipping into the hands of a hungry reporter. Motives swirled in the shadows, perhaps raw revenge for years of overlooked slights, or a tortured conscience finally cracking under the weight of silence. One whispered phone call was all it took, and suddenly the private war became public property, suspense thickening as fingers pointed in every direction. Coverage erupted into pure frenzy. BBC specials interrupted morning broadcasts, anchors breathless with breaking details, while Twitter wars raged, non-stop hashtags, trending worldwide, memes mocking the frozen queen, endless threads dissecting every royal glance. The family felt the invasion like knives at their throats, defensiveness rising fast, every leaked detail stripping away the polished image they had guarded for decades. Public reactions split like lightning. Crowds cheered Edward as the quiet hero protecting tradition, while others flooded comment sections with sympathy for Camilla, the woman who had already survived so much. These divided voices mirrored deeper societal rift, questions about privilege, loyalty, and whether the monarchy still deserved its secrets, turning living rooms into battlegrounds of opinion. Investigative journalists smelled blood and dove deeper, teasing financial anomalies that hinted at far bigger plots. Offshore transfers, unexplained luxuries, each new thread added layers of suspense, promising scandals that could dwarf the frieze itself. Camilla's public facade began to crack under the relentless glare. She smiled for cameras, but inside the turmoil raged image versus truth tearing her apart. The queen who once commanded respect, now reduced to trending pity and suspicion. Her every step carried the emotional weight of millions watching her unravel. Twists in the narrative only fueled the chaos. Fake news flooded the feeds, doctored documents, invented quotes, complicating everything, blurring truth and manipulation until no one knew what to believe, building toward revelations that would shake perceptions to the core. The impact went global in hours. World leaders whispered diplomatically behind closed doors, foreign media ran exposés, and even distant royals issued veiled statements. The drama escalated, pulling the House of Windsor into an international spotlight it could no longer control. Then came the bombshell report, a single headline hinting at conspiracies far darker than anyone imagined, dangling the promise of truths that could rewrite everything. Amid the clamour, whispers of even greater deceptions emerge, plunging us into the abyss of royal conspiracies that could rewrite the monarchy's fate forever. Beyond the frieze lies a labyrinth of lies, forged documents, shadowed alliances and motives that chill the blood. What if Edward's action unearthed a conspiracy far vaster than family feud? From hidden vaults to whispered pacts, explore this final twist where emotions collide with treachery, threatening to bury the crown under its own weight. This is the ultimate revelation, a monarchy teetering on the edge of oblivion. Deeper layers peeled back with terrifying speed, evidence trails snaked through encrypted files, and hushed testimonies, pointing to Camilla's long-suspected ties to external influencers, powerful figures outside the palace walls, who had quietly steered residence funds toward their own shadowy ends. Each discovery landed heavier than the last, suspense coiling tighter as the scale of the manipulation became impossible to ignore. This wasn't mere extravagance anymore. It was a calculated erosion, a grand plot that had been unfolding for years beneath the surface of royal protocol. The family faced its ultimate reckoning in a final, gut-wrenching confrontation. Raw admissions poured out, Charles confessing the torment of divided loyalties, Camilla admitting to compromises she once justified as survival, Edward laying bare the grief that had driven him to act. Catharsis swept through the room in waves, yet the pain lingered sharp and unrelenting, every tear and every trembling voice a reminder that some wounds cut too deep to ever fully heal. Twists piled upon twists in brutal succession. An ally everyone believed unshakable switched sides at the 11th hour, delivering damning proof straight to Edward's hands. The betrayal struck like lightning, inner conflict exploding anew as trust crumbled once more, loyalties flipping in a heartbeat, leaving every participant questioning who they could still call friend. Ongoing investigations hovered like storm clouds on the horizon. Investigators dug relentlessly, new threads surfacing daily, each one hinting that the monarchy's very survival hung in the balance. The uncertainty gnawed at them all, a constant undercurrent of dread that no crown could shield against. History's dark parallels loomed large, inescapable echoes of past royal downfalls, kings undone by greed, queens felled by ambition, entire dynasties swallowed by the very secrets they tried to bury. These cycles felt inevitable, a chilling reminder that power built on deception always carries its own destruction within it. Public revelations collided headlong with private anguish. Media exposés forced brutal changes, forced transparency, slashed budgets, public apologies that tasted like ash. Emotion and societal pressure fused into one crushing force, stripping away illusions and compelling the family to confront the wreckage they had created together. A tentative truce finally emerged, fragile and shadowed by doubt. Handshakes were exchanged, promises whispered, yet every glance carried the weight of unresolved suspicion. No one dared believe the storm had truly passed. Edward stood alone at the end, his gaze distant and reflective, staring into an uncertain future where victory felt hollow and defeat still loomed possible. The crown endured for now, but the fractures ran too deep to ignore, leaving the question hanging in the air: how long before the next betrayal shatters it completely? Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in next one.